are located on the island that outline these buried treasures could have been forged to direct misinformation and prevent people from discovering its true locations. The United States military base, known as Area 51, is known across the world as being a hotspot of alien conspiracy, as well as a possible research base housing extraterrestrial spacecraft and attempting to work at reverse engineering further alien technologies that have been recovered by the United States military. Many alien enthusiasts are the United Kingdom, as it is also known as the United history of Manor started from very humble beginnings. Originally created as a Bathstone mining station, the area that would later be Rudloe Manor was worked and designed to mine Bathstone from the region to be used in massive building projects, utilising the material and its ability to be cut in any direction, a property that other layering stones do not have. This led to larger scale projects and cheaper means of production, which worked to help build hospitals, different forms of housing and other major construction projects across the United Kingdom. It was not until the start of World War II that Rudloe Manor gained its use in military operations, as the tunnels from the existing Bathstone mine was a prime location to store ammunitions and other material after the relentless strategies by the Nazi regime that led to massive bombings of above-ground facilities. These tunnels and further large caverns that burrowed deep into the ground helped to create a stable bunker used as a central ammunition depot at the start of the war. But soon, the area found itself to be a major control centre used by the Royal Air Force. This led to the creation of further operations within the underground facilities of the Rudloe Manor in 1940. That included the operations room, the filter room, and then finally the Shadow Factory. It is this collection of rooms that would later lead to the formation of an alien research base after the end of World War II. The operations room was essentially used as a military command centre, establishing covert protocols on the handling of sensitive information and issuing out military commands to the Royal Air Force and establishing secret clandestine projects. This room acted as an intelligence filter, hence where it got its name, that served to establish a complex sorting system that helped to provide these rooms have comparison the importance of the Shadow Factory. The factory was originally established under the belief that a secret underground facility with the ability to create aircraft was necessary in the event that the Nazi forces continued their bomb assaults and destroyed factory productions of aircraft. This led to the creation of a complete underground facility with the incredible ability to produce entire aircraft in an assembly line from nothing but raw materials deep underground. Though the factory was claimed to have never been in operation, this would soon change during the 1950s. After what alien enthusiasts refer to as a definitive UFO incident, Rudloe Manor was then seen as a hotspot for alien activity and a control centre for further investigations. The details around this incident, released reports provide further information claiming that Winston Churchill himself asked for the event to be covered up to prevent mass panic. This would develop into its own team of investigators from the Joint Intelligence Committee at Rudloe Manor, and within the operations room as weekly reports would be filled regarding the presence of extraterrestrials and the military's involvement. Further leaked information began spreading that the underground Shadow Factory soon became used as a potential reverse engineering facility, as the Royal Air Force had supposedly recovered a crashed alien spaceship that was held in the underground facility. Interestingly enough, these rumours are further confirmed by the James Bond equivalent of the alien world, Nick Pope, who used to work for the British Ministry of Defence and was tasked by the government to study information and research presence and their potential threat to national security. Pope would later go on to be an advocate for the disclosure projects, with the hopes of the UK government releasing further documents relative to their findings of extraterrestrial activity, but would later go on to say that mysteriously all of the files pertaining to the 1950s operations at Redlow Manor that concerned alien activity was destroyed and unable to be recovered. Despite this unfortunate turn of events, further documents have been later released to the that provided proof and evidence of alien investigations and clandestine operations held at Redlow Manor at this time, and with the help of Nick Pope and his efforts at alien disclosure. These clandestine operations included a wide array of alien reports that span over 5,000 documents, as well as incidents that had been covered up by the British government. This events near collision report was aligned with an identified flying object with statements from the captain and first officer, an alien response team investigating and recovering a crashed UFO at the Bewin Mountains in Wales. Full detailed investigative reports of the Western Isles incident that many locals claim to have heard a loud explosion over the Atlantic, confirming the incident to be of extraterrestrial origin. The 14 minutes of supposedly missing footage from the Blue Streak missile test launch that shown evidence of a craft landing and the presence of a spaceman as described in the report, and many other incredible discoveries that seemed too frightening to be true. Of course, these reports and their details would lead many conspiracy theorists and alien enthusiasts to begin referring to Redlow Manor as the UK's Area 51, and as a potential command centre for black budget operations that would soon go above the clearance level of even the highest officials in the military, British government and clandestine operations. As much as people might argue this would be a stretch, the logistics and developments that had already been established at Redlow Manor were more than prepared to undertake such a project and to become a completely self-reliant facility and factory capable of its own research, production and testing. What many critics and skeptics of this idea do not realise is the extent of the size and ability of Redlow Manor's vast complex tunnel systems. The underground tunnels and facilities make up more than 2.2 million square feet. To get a sense of this scale, one should look towards one of the biggest warehouse production facilities in the world, Amazon's fulfillment centre. 2.2 million square feet is more than twice the size of Amazon's fulfillment centre, which works to be a massive warehouse that produces and houses the endless goods available on Amazon available worldwide. Now imagine that level of production completely underground, self-sufficient and twice as massive, with the point of the British military and capable of doing the impossible. The potential is nearly limitless. Now, if we take into account the last 70 years and the massive amount of reports that total over 5,000 documents and investigations, that would mean the facility had the ability to investigate and report roughly once every 5 days on top of the additional clandestine operations that existed throughout this time, and the usage of the manor for sensitive intelligence and military operations. These reports are also only made up of the surviving documents and shared intelligence with the National Archive that are still around from that era. According to various sources and those within the intelligence community, many other reports, investigations and further informational documents had been destroyed to prevent any further leaked information, which could mean an additional tremendous amount of evidence for the search of alien activity and alien disclosure. Already massive and well underway. It is also important to remember that information at the Redlow Manor went through high levels of filtering processes, and so forged documents would not have been created or stored at the facility. Many skeptics claim that the released documents supplied to the National Archive are merely bogus documents that work to spread misinformation amongst the general public. However, given the strict protocols that had already existed, Committee and further witness accounts from ex-British Ministry of Defence Nick Pope, this seems to be the most improbable explanation for the release of these 1950s documents and archived information. What is even more interesting about this case is that even though Site 1 of the Redlow Manor base has been decommissioned and no longer within military use, the Site 3 buildings, along with the vast underground tunnel complex, is still used and hidden by the government and Royal Air Force. Data repurposed with the ability to house British politicians and other high clearance personnel during the event of a nuclear strike and be completely self-reliant and independent with vast established systems to live indefinitely underground. This could be further confirmation of the abilities of the Shadow Factory and its potential of vast production, self-reliance, and pre-existing infrastructure spanning nearly 7 decades of developments. Why do we dream? Similar to the question previously asked, dreaming is all the more of a mystery to scientists, along with the mechanisms of sleeping. In fact, there is a whole field of study in the world of science called oneirology that is dedicated to attempting to work to understand the exact reasons for why dreams themselves even exist. Research into this field of study include the exploration of dream, the implementation of dream, and dream. What is all the more interesting into this study is the work made towards understanding the electric stimuli of the dreaming world and advancements made in understanding dream cycles and the discovery in recent times of the rapid eye movement, which is a specific moment in dreaming that a dreaming patient's mind is similar to that of a waking mind. Further studies made by a professor known as Dan Yang in the field of neuroscience that often overlaps into oneirology has found that it might even be possible, given the advancements she has made, to potentially view one's dreams and catch a better glimpse into the mind of the subconscious. Many scientists in oneirology often debate on the reflections of the subconscious mind that dreaming inhabits, and believe that it could be possible that the inner subconscious mind is allowed to communicate with the conscious mind, the unknown, and it appears that any new satisfying answer is not coming anytime soon. The Amela untuca. Similar to that of the Triceratops fossils discovered all across the world by paleontologists is that of the myths surrounding the creature known in its native language as the Amela untuca, that comes from sightings made by natives located in the Congo. It was often referred to as the elephant killer and seemed to be very similar to that in design to that of the Triceratops. The creature is reported as being described in the same likeness as that of the African bush elephant that stands at roughly 10 feet tall and weighs 6 tons. The beast is drawn with a large and heavy tail, brownish to green colour, and with the body similar to that of a lion, including a large horn at the front of its snout. Interestingly enough, the reports, descriptions, and even supporting fossil evidence of the creature having at one time existed not too long ago leaves many experts believing that it could be a distant ancestral cousin to the rhino or possible descendant of the Triceratops dinosaur. Unfortunately, the tribe native to the Congo region that reported on the creature claimed to have purposefully sought out each creature of the species to eradicate them from the area due to their growing fears of the creature, its aggressions, and history of attacks. The last reported sighting of the creature was seen in Kenya, though many experts believe that if the creature did at one time exist, then it has long since been extinct for a few thousand years, given the lack of fossil record. Interestingly enough, however, the tribe reports that the last of the creatures was back during 1930, a man removed the horn from the body of its possession. Further information about the creature has not been released, and the only reliable information to be found on it is that of the evidence and work gathered by Dr. Roy P. McCall that describes the creature in his 1987 publication of his book, A Living Dinosaur. The Georgia Raptor. Back on the 25th of July in 2008, a young 18-year-old man and his grandfather went on a trip down into the forests of Georgia, out in remote locations, in the hopes of bagging a fresh deer on a small little hunting escapade. The trip had been planned more than a year in advance, and the two were wanting to look into old areas of which do not usually have a lot of human activity in the hopes of finding a native species of deer that was not as skittish of human intervention in the region. As he was on a hunting trip with his grandfather at around 3:30 p.m, when the two were walking down what appeared to be a small animal trail, they heard a strange noise that they previously had never heard before. Suddenly, he describes that something started slowly walking out from behind the bushes and onto the pathway roughly 150 yards in front of them. The creature appeared at first to be similar in size and shape to that of the velociraptor. However, who described that the creature had feathers down the nape of its neck and at the edges of its body. This has earned the creature the name of the Georgia rabbit, and ever since this first reported sighting, many others have come forward about encountering the creature, with some even believing that it could be a surviving species of a large bird-like creature directly descended from a family of the raptor known as a reported in strange that appear to have been created from that of a larger bird similar to that of an ostrich. For those that are not aware, an ostrich is a very close descendant to that of the family related to the velociraptor, and even has the majority of the same physical structures and group-like intelligences. This could very well be supporting evidence of a yet-to-be uncovered descendant of the raptor living in the lands of the state of Georgia. The Voynich manuscript is one of the most elusive and famous pieces of literature in all of recorded history, and written in an unknown language or code and diagrams. The subject matter of the drawings range from various unidentifiable planets, diagrams of constellations, roving axles, and even new by Voynich, Polish Gesula. The manuscript was unofficially named after. He purchased 30 manuscripts from the Collegio Romano in 1912, who were selling parts of them due to lack of funds, and the Voynich manuscript just happened to be one of the 30 manuscripts Voynich purchased. Voynich reflects the strange yet fascinating of scholars, cryptographers, and codebreakers who deciphered the manuscript. During this time, Voynich himself focused his efforts on attempting to trace back the origins of it. He believed that finding past owners of the manuscript would help to uncover its author or authors, and possibly even decipher the book's unidentifiable language. Looking into this and a big part of Voynich's manuscript, Voynich, it can be helpful to attempt to trace back the book's previous owners in order to better understand its history. The earliest owner the Voynich manuscript has been traced back to is from the late 16th and 17th century, court of Holy Roman Emperor Rudolf II. He was also Hungary, Croatia, Bohemia, and a member of the Habsburg House throughout various points of his life. Rudolf's reputation varies depending on who you ask. It is commonly accepted that he was very much devoted to the arts, both popular and cultural. In addition to collecting art, he was known to collect rare weapons, botanical plants, exotic animals, and even horses. He was known to have giants in his army, protection of his castle grounds, and a fascination of Rudolf purchased the Voynich manuscript from an unknown party for somewhere between 300 and 600 gold. The former most likely. In today's currency, this could be valued for anywhere between $1,000 to $15,000. Later down the ownership timeline, which we will revisit shortly. At some point during Rudolf II's reign as king, some researchers believe either Dee or Kelly to be the second party or even the authors of the Voynich manuscript, as well as an entry in John's diary. Exactly who the manuscript was given to at this point is still up for debate. See why biology medicine. The former was the likely owner of the Wilfrid allegedly found Jacobus's name written in a corner on the first page of the book, although it did not resemble his handwriting. At any rate, the book remains one of the copies. The next owner is unknown, but at some point in the mid-century, manuscript came to the alchemist to decode the strange book. Eventually, Baresh learned about Jesuit scholar in physical sciences, such as biology and medicine, Egyptology and citizen. Little did Baresh know this one of the greatest polypaths to ever live. Baresh discovered that Kircher had successfully signed a large amount of Egyptian hieroglyphs, a supposed map of the lost continent Atlantis. Baresh reached out to Kircher, sending handwritten copies of the manuscript, along with letters in 1637. The manuscript was passed to John Marek Marcy, not to be confused with the aforementioned botanist Marcisi, a Bohemian doctor. Manuscript, but later concluded it would be better off in the hands of his longtime friend and colleague, Athanasius Kircher. How? Studied at the Collegio Romano in Italy. Marcy sent Kircher the manuscript. One of the letter stored inside the manuscript, signed the book when purchased by Wilfrid nearly 300 years later. The letter from Marcy states that the manuscript was apparently authored by Roger Bacon, The letter also reads that Marcy's friend William Moyer and also served under Rudolph II, claimed that Rudolph purchased the manuscript for 600 gold ducats. Perhaps he and Kelly split this amount, and the deal was made some time before. Who was known to sell books to Rudolph in the late 16th century. In the end, Athanasius Kircher was unable to decipher the Voynich manuscript and came to the conclusion that the text was a universal language, maybe at some point understood by the entire world's population, or perhaps meant to be understood by all living. This is largely conceptual, and disputedly found to be incorrect. Ceremony for the next 200. The Papal States were annexed by Victor Emmanuel in Italy. Transferred to faculty, including which held the manuscript. The book was acquired by the head of where it was housed until 1912, when the manuscripts were purchased by Wilfrid Voynich. Upon Voynich's death, the manuscript was passed down through various family and friends of his, and in 1969, while in possession of Hans Kraus in the Beinecke Rare Library